Game we knew that we had to defend the three-point shot because Virginia obviously had 4 or 5 guys shooting over. As a team, they were shooting over 40% from three-point range. I'm not really sure I can remember playing as a team that shoots the ball that well. I thought we did a decent job in the first half of getting to the shooters. To defend a team that shoots as well as they do from the perimeter, you almost have to kind of change your defensive principles of not helping and as much. And when you practice all year and you instinctively, when guys are driving, you want to stop the dribble drive toward the basket. Instinctively, you do what you are consistently practicing day in and day out. And we got caught, I thought, in the second half with a little too much of a sagging man-to-man principles that we teach on a regular basis. And obviously they went off a barrage of threes that was kind of frustrating there to us because I thought we were playing about as hard as we play. The whole of the team, the 31% shooting, and look down the second half, they're shooting 44% from three. Obviously, it's not a lack of effort, but it's a compliment to them and to the quality of the shooters. Anytime you have guys that shoot the ball that well, you always got a chance to be in any game. Unfortunately for our players today, that we played well enough in stretches. Once we got the lead up to 16, I thought we had 3 straight turnovers. That's a team that's still trying to learn how to close games out. Those are the types of spells that we have to eliminate. I'm sure you want to know about Chris Singleton. He has a fracture in his foot. We're going to operate on him as soon as possible. You never know the time frame that it takes for different people to heal. Obviously, it's an individual thing. It can be from whatever to whatever. A lot depends on his recovery time. But that's going to cause us to have to readjust again. We readjusted without Ian and Xavier and Terrence. And now we have Chris to adjust to. We're trying to get Xavier rotated back in, get his condition leveled up. I thought he was much better today than he had been. Anytime you could recover from an injury like that, you're somewhat tentative. He was extremely tentative in the Georgia Tech game to the point where I was concerned about playing him. The one day of practice, he felt much better, and the night he felt better. We should get Terrence back maybe sometime this week to start doing some contact work. But obviously we've lost him for several games, and we got to get him back involved. Went into the season thinking that we would have a lot of depth, but there the latter part of the game, when Okara fouled out, obviously I had to go to David Dorcas as our power forward, and we were able to get by with that today because they played basically 4 perimeter guys. I'm not really sure that's going to work as we move through the remainder of the ACC schedule. So I'm anxious to get some of these other guys back so we can continue to keep moving, and hopefully until Chris gets back, or if we don't get him back at all this year, at least we can have a complement of players that we can operate with. Any questions?
How did it happen?
I really had to go back and watch the film. I didn't really ask it. But, in the game of basketball, it's probably one of the sports most stressful on your joints. The impact that you make when you're twisting and turning and landing awkwardly. The body takes a lot of shock, absorbs a lot of shocks, and when you come down awkwardly, you land. It doesn't take very much sometimes for that to happen. These kids are always pounding. It's probably the most basketball probably put more stress on your joints and your feet than any other sport because you're up and down, stopping, changing direction, up and down without a whole lot of rest. So it can wear on you. So the only thing we can do now is just, I'm sure they're going to operate it real quick, then we'll go back and look at the film. I'm sure this came down awkward. Unfortunately, the injury.
Coach, can you talk about your players' resilience? You guys aren't able, in the beginning, very deep, good defense with Virginia. You lose Chris Singleton towards the end of the first. Then you guys have a 10-point lead, and it starts getting minimized. And you wind up winning. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, I think we're showing signs of maturing and growing up a little. I thought that we got in and out of our offensive system fairly well today. We moved the ball, reversed the ball. didn't get the ball near the inside as much. They trapped the post, and they did a very good job of defending us in the post. But overall, I think we are executing better. The turnovers that we had didn't necessarily have anything to do with our half-court execution. But I think we're kind of growing up. Once we get to that point, we are moving the ball, making an extra pass, and I think we're executing a lot better. And I think that's allowing us to get dribble drive opportunities to the basket, better spacing, and being able to score at a high field goal percentage.
Coach, you mentioned the depth. 10 players played 10 minutes or more for you. Now, how important is that going down the stretch in the ACC after so much of the season?
Well, I think it's very important. It's just that right now that we have some guys playing minutes not at 100%. But that's part of who we are right now. And the nature of our sport is that you just got to find a way. You got to move past whatever issues you have to overcome. Obviously, this is a tremendous blow to us. Chris was 5 or 6 from the floor at Georgia Tech, and he was 4 for 4 today. You can just tell that he was starting to feel it, and our players are starting to feel off of him. But it's a setback, but it shouldn't cripple us. We still are a team that understands that we have some tremendous opportunities available, and someone else is going to have to step up.
How did Chris handle?
Well, we didn't talk very much about it. It's not a whole lot to say. He's a warrior. I think he'll be matured about it. We just got to deal with the situation at hand. I'm just glad it's not any more serious than it is. It's not something that I think is that threatening. But we just got to give it time to heal, and I'm sure we'll do that.
At halftime, did you know you guys had lost him? Did you address that with the team at all?
No, not really. No, it wasn't. At that particular point, we basically knew he wouldn't be back. Kind of figured it, but it didn't do us any good. Other than I think one of the coaches might have made a statement, we're probably not going to have Chris back, so somebody's got to step up. Other than that, that might have been the only statement made at halftime.
Seemed like the guy that stepped up was Snare. He had a really big second half for you guys. Can you talk about his productivity today?
Well, I think Mike's productivity is a direct result of our offense becoming more efficient, better ball reversals, more consistent screens, better spacing. Opens up passing lanes for him to drive. So not only is he attacking the basket and his pull-ups into a rim, but he's getting inside the interior of the team's defense and kicking the ball out, which we're getting better jump shots on the perimeter. So I think it's a matter of him just responding to the team growing up and learning how to play together a little better than we were early in the year.
Him and Davis really helped you out on the boards too. 14 combined for those two, probably is I assume a season high for those two combined.
Well, we shouldn't have had to have Chris get injured for those guys to start rebounding. So, but maybe that's something that will continue. I know we're going to need it. And I look down the stat sheet; it is a very pleasant sight.
You have a week off. What's the focus now?
Well, we're still a team in transition. We got so many areas of our game we need improvement, and in some ways that's positive. That we are 8-3 in the league, and we still have a lot of room for improvement. I think we haven't seen the real end middle yet. I think it's going to give him a chance to kind of get back into the groove because he was kind of thrown in and hit and miss practices and hadn't really gotten a lot of reps. We've been more preparing for games, and so he's a little bit behind. Xavier just came out to practice for 2 days, and we played him in a few minutes in the game, and that's not the way you come back. So and then we have Terrence to work in. So we got plenty to work on, and not only are we trying to prepare, for Wake Forest, another opportunity to get a road victory, but we got to start thinking about the big picture now without Chris. So we got to evaluate where we are and what adjustments we got to make.
Coach, you talk about the adjustments you have to make, but what about the things that are irreplaceable? It's leadership, that kind of stuff on the floor. Are there players who could step into that role, kind of be more of a floor general with them out?
I'm not laughing at you. I'm just saying, obviously someone's going to do that. Now, I think we do, but that's more of a personality thing. I like for our players to be who they are, and you don't select leaders. You know, you don't appoint them. They emerge as a result of what they're about as individuals. And I think it's going to be a team of guys going to have to step up and absorb all of what Chris gave us. I'm not really sure one particular guy can give us that. But that's a good question. And I can't really answer that for you. I just think that it's going to happen because our kids got great attitudes. They're all close. I think they stepped up when he left the floor tonight, and I expect them to be even more focused as we move into this week's practice.
You guys actually went on a 19-4 run after he left the game. Is that a matter, you think, of those guys focusing more and saying, all right, Chris isn't going to carry us?
Well, to be very honest with you, I think it's a matter, like I said earlier, of the team just kind of growing up a little, understanding this is an ACC game that we had to have. We had spurts there where we had 9 turnovers in the first, 10 minutes? 8 minutes, which was, here again, we inventing ways to turn the ball over. We turn the ball over in ways that you really don't coach against. In other words, most of the time you tell your kids, well, you can't make that same mistake again, put that in the mistake jar. Well, our jars are overflowing, and they keep coming up with different ways to turn the ball over. And hopefully, I'll put the cap on that jar, and all those turnovers that we're making that we haven't coached against, we can just pull them all out there, put them on the wall, and go over them again in this week. That might help a little. That's what we're going to do this week. We're going to deal with those turnovers that we've been making. I hope that y'all don't see me on CNN and them pushing my head down the back of one of those cars and walking. I got upset with somebody who telling I'm only being facetious. don't take that anywhere. So please, I'm laughing. Listen, okay, ha. Okay, you got that? All right, good. Anything else, fellas? All right, thank you for coming.